Hello, and welcome to a presentation brought to you by Team Deja of the Carsey School of Public Policy. Team Deja consists of Elle Baker, David Corby, Ibrahim Abe Olasey, and Jonathan Regis. Each of the members of Team Deja is pursuing a master's degree at the University of New Hampshire for Community Development Policy and Practice through the Carsey School of Public Policy. The Carsey School of Public Policy at the Durham campus of the University of New Hampshire is a nationally acclaimed resource for research, leadership development, and engaged scholarship relevant to public policy. The program addresses the most pressing challenges of the 21st century, striving for innovative, responsive, and equitable solutions at all levels of government and in the for-profit and non-profit sectors. Team Deja was formed in the class Balancing Resource Management, which explores how land use, resource management, and development are balanced in different contexts using case studies from the U.S. and abroad. For our final project, our group must address a problem facing a particular community, region, or ecosystem that has both a human and natural resource dimension, exempli gratia, conflict, or lack of solution.
Sweeping it under the rug, the Saugus Wheelabrator Ash Dilemma. Wheelabrator Technologies is a corporation that builds and manages waste-to-energy plants that convert solid waste into electricity through a combustion process. This process produces an ash residue, which is typically removed and relocated to a specialized ash landfill facility. The facilities are designed to contain the ash and minimize the release of toxins into the environment. In Saugus, the ash is dumped into the adjacent marshlands. Saugus Wheelabrator facility, formerly known as Resco, opened close to 40 years ago in Saugus, Massachusetts. It currently incinerates 1,500 tons of solid waste. It also produces 300 to 500 tons of bottom and fly ash daily. This incinerated ash from the solid waste contains heavy metals including lead, mercury, cadmium, and a known carcinogen dioxin. The ash was initially dumped over the existing landfill in the wet marshlands in Saugus for approximately 15 years without any form of containment, no liner, no slurry wall, or any cover. Saugus was not a planned facility for this ash and does not meet today's environmental standards and ash landfill best practices. To prevent these contaminants from entering the environment and damaging our community's health, residents want detailed information pertaining to the potential health and environmental dangers that ash landfills can pose, and whether or not this expansion should occur in the absence of this relevant information is yet to be determined. To get a greater insight into this issue, we interviewed Revere City Council President John Powers, Wheelabrator activist Peter Manoogian, and the Mayor of Revere, Dan Rizzo.
Not only is the expansion of Wheelabrator a concern of mine, their mere existence is a concern of mine.
DEP allows that after 30 years after closure they can walk away from it. They won't be responsible. So no way, no how would that be allowed under existing regulations. So for the DEP to expand this, they're going to have to go against their own regulations.
They have already exceeded their initial capacity that they had agreed to, and now my understanding is they're looking to further exceed these limitations.
But I know when you're taking all of that trash, 1,500 tons a day, and burning it, nothing good is coming out of there.
One, it would never be allowed. If it was allowed, it would have to have a liner underneath it, a thick membrane of like poly rubberized type plastic, that any water that percolated through the ash would have to be would be captured and treated. Right now, the facility does not have such a liner. It has what's called a slurry wall, which is sort of like a surrounding. It's not a moat, but it's a clay-like wall that prevents the water from escaping laterally.
The proliferation of ash and the buildup of toxic materials has in some way negatively impacted the health and well-being of certainly our residents, and again, I think that of Saugus residents.
The most recent order says that they can cover the ash every 7 days. And now, in the last year, they're reporting that they're using contaminated fill to cover the ash. As the ash gets higher, it's more prone to become airborne and to come into the community itself. So to go beyond the 50 feet to the 75 or 100 feet is just totally ludicrous. It makes no sense at all for the environment or for the public health.
I know we've had a lot of lung cancer deaths in this area. My wife being one of them in '99 died from lung cancer.
I can't see that they would voluntarily be going into a program that would utilize best practices. I think right along they have had to had the guidance, and I'll take it a step further. They've had to been forced to comply with regulations that would protect the health of residents in the surrounding areas.
You have a stressed population to begin with that's already living with industrial pollution, whether it be a General Electric plant or other types of facilities, and then you add into that a known generator of toxic materials such as an incinerator on top of a population that by its own habits is more prone to smoking or alcohol consumption. You create a new burden that otherwise wouldn't be there.
When we do our community health assessments and our needs assessments, we have higher than normal levels of asthma, higher than normal levels of cancer.
Communities, whether it be incineration or otherwise, need to be very careful how they read something.
You know, an issue that, you know, we all need to have grown-up conversations about, right? I mean, you gotta understand that when you put stuff in your trash and the trash trucks come by and they pick it up, they ultimately have to end up somewhere. The question is, where does it end up and how is it handled? How is it stored? How is it disposed of?
I know they're going to be offering Saugus monies, as mitigation, but I mean, you can't mitigate public health with dollars. It just doesn't work. You can't put dollars in front of someone's health.
Can I blame Wheelabrator for all of that? Not necessarily, but when you do have that type of anecdotal evidence of health risks that the city of Revere has, and you have a facility just a mile or two down the road that is sending up all of these toxic materials, I can't help but think that that is something that we need to all get on board with.
Saugus selectmen vote unanimously to prohibit the expansion of the Wheelabrator ash landfill. Representative Rosalie Vincent goes before the Revere City Council regarding two legislative bills relative to the licensing of a certain facility by the Department of Environmental Protection. Department of Environmental Protection shall not approve or issue a license for a third burner at the Wheelabrator facility in the town of Saugus, or any other solid waste disposal process that would result in an additional air emissions or ash disposal at the Saugus incinerator and adjacent ash landfill on Route 107. Saugus Selectwoman Jennifer Dion speaks in favor of State Representative Rosalie Vincent's legislation. Revere City Councilor at Large Jessica Giannino notes that she does not know anyone in this area that doesn't have a friend or family member affected by cancer. Revere City Councilor Ward 3 Arthur Ganasso says that he can walk through his neighborhood and point out the homes of many people that have passed from cancer and homes where people are still suffering. Wheelabrator activist and former Saugus Selectman Peter Manoogian explains to the Revere City Council that the consent agreement for the level of ash was allowed to be amended 9 times. The ash landfill was supposed to close in 1996. Recently, East Saugus homeowners are now required to purchase flood insurance due to predicted sea level rise and storm surges. Wheelabrator will only be responsible for this landfill for 30 years after it closes, and then it becomes the burden of the town of Saugus. Now is your time to get involved. Find out the facts and contact your local officials to show your support for the health of our community. Stop the expansion of the Wheelabrator ash landfill in Saugus.